Hi, I'm Raylyn Worcester, and this is Spreading the Word. We're getting ready to get into part 9 of Without Faith. So, leading up to this, several things have happened. Gloria is now stationed at Fort Benjamin Harrison in Indiana, and she is learning about the goings on at the camp and getting to know Colonel Greenbaugh a little bit. In the rest of the nation, things are happening as well. Bridget has just discovered the real business taking place at Heavenly Coffee. Sam has discovered a secret web page on the Noster site. And the snitch is now a former snitch. How do all of these things work together in the scheme of things? Oh, you'll find out. You just have to keep listening. Part 9, Without Faith. Across the nation. He had talked to his younger brother until he was blue in the face, but Trenton wouldn't listen. He was dead set on getting rich as a snitch, like his best friend had before he had become a wuss. His words. Frustrated, he walked out of their shared bedroom, leaving Trenton alone. That's okay, Trenton thought. I work best alone. He had a plan, an ingenious plan, he thought. Why fish in a pond with a fishing line and hook, catching little fish one at a time, when you could use a landing net in the sea and catch a whole bunch at once? Trenton planned to go on X, Twitter, and see who was complaining about the new laws or relatives being arrested, and widen his pool of criminals to catch. He pulled up the site and saw right away that there were plenty of disgruntled people spilling their guts for anyone and everyone to read. There was no detail, though. No way to tell who or where these people were. That was a problem. He continued scrolling through the comments until he found one warning against these kinds of posts, saying they were dangerous. That's right, Trenton gloated silently. I'm dangerous. The warning included a link to a safe site, a place where criminals speak openly and freely. Oh man, he'd hit the jackpot. And the link was one that anyone could follow. It was amazing what God could do, Janet thought. Janet had been a believer since she was a child. She'd just gotten off track somehow in recent years. Once Christianity was basically outlawed, she just pretended she wasn't one, so she wouldn't get in trouble. She pretended so well, she almost forgot that God was a part of her life. Then, when Sabina got pregnant and her husband got arrested, Janet was sure God had decided she wasn't worth waiting for and abandoned her altogether. But she knew now that it was He who put it on her sister's heart to find the Living with Lost group in their area. She knew it was He who found Sabina in her darkest place, while Janet sat in a daze, mourning all she had lost. And it was He who restored the bond that mother and daughter once shared. It was He who led Sabina to Noster and led her to share the site with her mother. It was He who inspired Janet to notice the coin and remember Matthew 22:21 from a time long ago. And it was He who introduced her to her new favorite brand of coffee, Roman Roast. They lay in bed together, Catherine's head on Sam's chest, his arm around his wife. This was nice, he thought. He could stay like this forever. Honey, Catherine said, softly breaking his reverie. Yes? I talked to my mom today. She's missing Timmy and Janice something awful, and she's missing the boys. She thinks we've done a wonderful thing taking them in all these months, but she'd like to have them for a while. She thinks it might lessen the ache of what happened to her son if she had his children around. What do you think? Would that be okay? An answer to prayer, Sam thought. Cat, I know you've been patient with my secret life. I have kept things from you to protect you and the boys. But if they weren't here to worry about, and you'd be willing to take the risk, I would love to include you in everything I'm doing. Whither thou goest, she said, quoting Ruth from the Bible. It's settled then, Sam decided. We will take the boys to your mom's this weekend, and then you and I will embark on a dangerous new adventure together. Catherine snuggled a little deeper into her husband's side. For the first time in a long time, the two really felt like one. At peace, they simultaneously drifted off to sleep. Washington, D.C. Zack, did you see this? Bridget asked. It was Tuesday, their day off. No one closed on Sundays anymore. To do so would seem suspect. So Tuesday became the day for their extracurricular work. Zack walked over behind Bridget and peered over her shoulder at the screen she'd been decoding. Uncle Sam is trying to build a database to mount a revolution, she said excitedly. Zack had gone to great lengths to make sure the hidden site was secure and could not be accidentally accessed. He was sure this was legit. He felt the same excitement he heard in Bridget's voice building in him. We can help, Bridget said. How? Zack had done all he'd known to do. He set up the site. He developed the encryption and decryption protocol. He'd found, acquired, and sent out Bibles. He'd passed out cards to help people find the site. What else could they do? We have addresses for everyone we sent Roman roast to, Bridget explained. Let's print a list from the address labels and send it to Uncle Sam. That would take forever to encrypt, Zack said, liking the idea, but still not sure how to accomplish it. You own a coffee shop, Zack. Send him more coffee. Indiana. Gloria sat at her desk with her head in her hands. She had a headache. She hadn't gotten much sleep last night. The movie projector in her mind played images she couldn't quit thinking about. It started out slowly, clicking empty frame by empty frame, then started speeding up until the reel was spinning so fast the images were only a blur. Then it returned to normal speed, and she saw herself hugging a Hispanic woman she'd never met. She could feel a bond of sisterhood with the woman and knew that they had somehow been through a lot together and were about to part ways. Then she saw the flower-woven bear trap again, but this time a bear was caught in it. As the bear turned to look at her, it had the face of the colonel. Then the projector sped up again, moving so fast it seemed the reel would fly off. Then she woke up. She understood the significance of the bear trap. After that first dinner with the colonel, he had asked her out several times. Each time she politely and apologetically declined. She cited too much work and too little time to get involved with anyone socially, even a colleague, as her reason. But the truth was that every time she saw that charming smile of his, she was reminded of the bear trap, and the smile had begun to look predatory to her. She knew he was dangerous, and she needed to keep her distance. This did not sit well with him, and he'd become surly around her. Trying to avoid him and his attitude toward her contributed largely to her headache. Then there was the job itself. She'd been at Fort Benjamin Harrison now for 6 weeks. She'd observed all the training and had gotten plenty of evidence documented for her true mission here. But other than that, there was not much to do. She had mentioned as much to the general in a video conference a few weeks ago. Not the part about her true mission, of course. And he assured her that no news was good news. She was there to be his eyes and ears, and her very presence as his personal representative would be a deterrent to any activity unacceptable to the government and to the general. She was to watch, listen, and report anything untoward. If there was nothing to report, that was a good thing. He mentioned that he'd sent her to the easy camp first, to allow her to acclimate to her new position, and he didn't expect there to be much for her to do at Fort Ben. They agreed the weekly video conferencing wasn't really necessary here, and they would each call the other when they had something that needed saying. He'd signed off with a little wink, which made Gloria feel better than anything he had said. So, with a throbbing head and nothing else really to do, she left Dylan to answer phones and field questions for her and decided to go home for the day. It was only 11 a.m. Gloria let herself into the cottage about 11:30 and closed the door gently so as not to exacerbate her headache. She heard a faint sound coming from the bedroom area. Was that singing? She walked quietly closer and heard, "So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down." That had to be the housekeeper. And she was singing hymns. She listened a moment longer to be sure, and exchange it someday for a crown. Gloria tiptoed back to the front door, opened it and shut it again loudly. At the sound, a Hispanic woman came from the bedroom. As they locked eyes, both women said in unison, "It's you!" Colonel Greenbaugh knocked on Gloria's office door, intent on having it out with her. She didn't like him. He wanted to know why. He knew he was handsome and charming. He wasn't used to being rejected by women, and he didn't like it. Dylan opened the door. "Colonel, come in. How can I help you?" "I'm here to see Miss Vincent," he answered, consciously smoothing his furrowed brow as he did. "I'm sorry, sir. Miss Vincent has gone home with a headache. She's asked not to be disturbed and is forwarding all her calls to me. She said she intends to sleep all day in a dark, quiet room." "Damn." "Sorry to hear that, Dylan. Please let her know I was concerned. My business with her can wait." "Yes, sir." The colonel walked back to his office, slamming the door behind him. Eric knew this was not something he should be bothering his uncle with, but the general had given him an assignment, hadn't he? An assignment he had been unable to complete. The first assignment in his career he'd been unable to complete. The thought made him angry all over again. "Eric, good morning," the general greeted as his face popped up on the screen. "I trust all is well?" At the fort, yes, he hedged, not knowing how to broach the subject. Then, why are you bothering me? Hung unspoken in the air. I haven't been able to get close to Gloria. She keeps shutting me down. That first dinner seemed so promising. I know I felt the chemistry between us. Then, like a light switch, she just turned off. The general chuckled. So that's the problem. Casanova couldn't land a woman. Looks like I did choose the right woman for the job. One not easily distracted. He sighed. Okay, switch tactics. If you can't win her with flowers, set a trap. If she's not who she claims to be, she will be caught in it. You know the code to the cottage gate, front door, and the safe. Go sometime when you know she's not there and look for evidence that she is not 100% loyal to me. If you don't find any, she's proven herself and we accept her as is. Agreed? The colonel nodded. But you'll have to do it within the next week, the general continued. After that, I will need you in Oklahoma City for a week for a meeting of militia brass. Yes, sir. The general disconnected the call. The colonel nearly growled with excitement. Yes, he would set a trap for the one who rejected him. She was the prey. He was the bear. Now, to find the right moment. The housekeeper walked toward Gloria with her mouth open, dropping her feather duster as she walked. Gloria walked up to her, took her hand, and led her to the sofa. As they sat, Gloria said, I feel like I've known you all my life, yet I've never seen you before, and don't even know your name. She shook her head at the craziness of it. I'm Imelda. I saw you in my dreams. But I never would have guessed that the woman I saw would be the Supreme General's liaison. The two women sat for the next hour, sharing their dreams and how each had gotten to this point in their lives. Imelda's dream was similar to Gloria's, but did not include anything to do with the colonel. Gloria left that part out of the telling of hers as well. Imelda had been a Christian for most of her life, and God had put her in the position of the general's personal housekeeper for the last 6 years, during which she had to be very careful to hide her true beliefs. She'd almost been caught a couple of times, but God miraculously protected her, telling her that she must bide her time until the day he would use her mightily for something of major importance. The dreams had started coming a couple of weeks ago. The time was now. She could feel it. Imelda knew what the fast-moving projector meant. Things were going to start happening quickly now. They had to be very in tune with the spirit and with each other. Sitting on the couch at their first meeting, the two women devised a strategy as the spirit whispered in the soul of each. Gloria would start coming home for lunch each day, during which they would touch base and further develop their plan. Secrecy is going to be vital, Imelda told Gloria. That said, do you think you can get your hands on some bugs to hide in the cottage? Imelda went into the kitchen to make them both some lunch. The general had insisted that she take some lessons from Chef Francois. Gloria was excited to taste whatever she came up with. Gloria inhaled the delicious aromas emanating from the kitchen and realized suddenly that she no longer had a headache. In fact, she hadn't felt it since she heard the strains of Old Rugged Cross coming from the bedroom. the healing power of God. It never ceased to amaze her. Imelda came in and set a plate before Gloria, who had moved to the breakfast nook. "Lobster Benedict, ma'am," she said. "Only use ma'am in public, Imelda. When we're alone, it's Gloria." Imelda sat her own plate before her and bowed her head. Together they blessed their food, their blossoming friendship, and the mission ahead of them. What freedom there was in doing this, Gloria thought. Freedom they would help restore again in this nation. That's why they were here, after all. Gloria took a bite of the scrumptious dish Imelda had prepared. This job definitely had its perks. Would it be rude to ask for a straw for this hollandaise sauce? She wondered. As Imelda carried the dirty dishes to the sink, she said, "I've got chores to finish. It's important that we carry on as usual, except for our lunch hours together." Gloria nodded. "I thought I'd go spend some time in the garden. I haven't had a chance to enjoy it since I've been here." "Take some scissors," Imelda suggested. "Your flowers are much prettier than the ones in the vases." Yes, Gloria thought, looking at the flowers that had seen better days. The Colonel's flowers definitely needed replacing. Imelda returned from the kitchen and handed a pair of kitchen shears to Gloria. She gave her a brief hug and said, "I will let myself out like normal. See you at lunch tomorrow." Gloria waved a goodbye and headed out the French doors. The next morning, Gloria called Dylan before leaving for work. She'd set his hours at 8 to 5, with an hour for lunch, so he would already be in the office. She wanted to touch base and see if she'd missed anything important while she was out yesterday. "I sat in on some training to provide a presence as you usually do," he told her. "Did some filing. Oh, and Colonel Greenbaugh came by to see you. He seemed really concerned about your headache." "Did he?" Well, that played right into Gloria's hand. The spirit had shown her last night that despite her recent aversion to him, she would need to play nice with the Colonel. "Thank you, Dylan. I'm going to start going home for lunch each day. I'm going to need you to be flexible and work your lunch break around mine so the office remains covered." "No problem, ma'am. I'll see you shortly." She hung up and placed another call, this one to Chef Francois. "Yes, mademoiselle. It would be my pleasure. When do you need them?" "That would be perfect. No, thank you, mademoiselle." Chef Francois had a beautiful plate of lemon bars waiting when Gloria entered his kitchen at 10 minutes before 9. She thanked him again and carried the plate to the militia office, stopping briefly in the infirmary on the way. She just raised her fist to knock on the door when it was opened and a surprise colonel invited her in. "I was just on my way to see if you made it in this morning," he said. "Are you feeling better?" "Much, thank you," Gloria replied. "Dylan told me of your concern, so I brought you a thank you," she said, handing him the plate. "My absolute favorite dessert. My mom used to make these for my birthday each year. I haven't had them in ages." She smiled her pleasure at his response to her gesture. "Well, this visit isn't all pleasure, I'm afraid," she began. "Oh?" The Colonel set the lemon bars on his desk. He was all business now. "I was wondering if you have bugs in this office." The Colonel looked as confused as he felt. "I've not noticed any, but we do have an exterminator on call if we need one. Are there bugs in your office?" Gloria laughed out loud and laid a hand affectionately on the Colonel's arm. "You're a trip," she said. "I meant listening devices. I'd like a few for the cottage." "Why? Is there a problem?" "I'm not too sure about the maid," she confided. "I caught her off guard coming home early yesterday. I'm pretty sure I heard her singing hymns. I would like to have proof of my suspicions." "I can rustle some up," he replied. Maybe I was wrong about her, the Colonel thought, as she stood to leave. Time would tell. Gloria took her morning tour around the grounds, stopping in each building, greeting each staff member, making herself seen, as was her custom. As she re-entered the admin building, the Colonel approached her. She led him into her office and offered a seat. In his hands, he held what looked like two small paper clips and a matchbox-sized device. "These are your bugs," he said, handing her the paper clips. "Put them somewhere they won't be seen, but are likely to catch what you want to hear. They will pick up anything in the room in which they are located." She nodded and put them in the hidden pocket of the skirt she was wearing. The silver box he held now had no buttons visible. It just looked like a small rectangular silver ingot. Hold the box in your hand like this. Apply gentle pressure on the bottom with your thumb and watch. A tiny metal door opened on the top that had been imperceptible moments before. Behind that door was a slot in which to set a paperclip, 3 buttons, and a tiny speaker. This button plays, this reverses, this fast forwards. Tap the bug twice and it will eject itself when you are finished. "Thank you," Gloria said, putting the device in the pocket next to the bugs. "There's probably no need, but better safe than sorry," the Colonel finished. "Say, are you busy for lunch today?" "I have a thyroid condition," Gloria confided. "If I get too tired, I get migraines. That's what happened yesterday. I stopped in the infirmary, and they suggested I go home for lunch and take a power nap each day. Easy fix." At his look of disappointment, Gloria added, "But I should have time for a quick drink after work tonight, maybe just an hour or so." "I'll take it," he said. He looked so much like a puppy eager to please that she almost laughed out loud. "How about I go home and change clothes, and you pick me up at 6:30? Home by 8? Great. I know a quaint little country bar not far from the cottage." "Okay," she agreed. "It's a date." Lord help me. "No, seriously," she silently prayed. "Help me." At lunch, Gloria and Imelda planted the bugs, one in each vase of flowers. Then they tested them. Gloria sang "All to Jesus I Surrender" as she cleaned the toilet. She sang "Holy, Holy, Holy" as she washed the dishes in the kitchen. They played them back and the words were discernible over the sound of cleaning taking place. It would work. Gloria was a little bummed that she couldn't keep the recordings. Imelda had such a sweet, clear voice that she'd love to be able to listen to when she was home alone in the evenings. But they had a plan. "Okay, Imelda, you are putting yourself in harm's way," Gloria solemnly reminded. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Eyes shining with unshed tears, Imelda quoted, "No man, having put his hand to the plow and looking back, is fit for the kingdom of God." "Okay then, worship while you work." With my very last breath, Imelda vowed. When both Gloria and Dylan had returned from lunch, she asked her assistant to sit at her desk, and she locked the door behind him. Dylan was no longer intimidated by this move. Instead, he felt excited. His boss wanted to talk to him about something important. God, I hope you're right about him, Gloria thought, then realized how stupid that thought was. God is always right about everything. Dylan, do you remember when I said you would be asked to do things that were top secret? Yes, ma'am. You've been with me almost 2 months, and you've proven your loyalty to me. Are you ready to step up to the important stuff? I don't have to remind you that discretion and loyalty to me, and only me, are imperative in the task I am going to assign. I need to know that you are 100% on board. I'll take your secrets to my grave, Miss Vincent. Well, let's hope that won't be necessary. Gloria removed the earbuds from her briefcase. Do you know what these are? Aren't those the conditioning earbuds we all had to wear when we arrived? He asked. Yes. I need you to discreetly find someone who is able to reprogram these. Dylan nodded. I have some techie friends. I should be able to get that done. It's got to be someone you trust with your life, literally, Gloria warned. Wow, Dylan thought. This is serious cloak and dagger stuff. I will make her proud. Gloria handed Dylan a 3x5 index card from her briefcase. Once the original message is erased, you will need to record this message on it. You are to be the only person who knows what that newly recorded message will say. Understood? Yes, ma'am. Do you want to know why we are doing this, Dylan? No, ma'am. It's probably better if I don't. It doesn't matter. I will do it because you asked me to. I trust you. Yes, Lord, you were right about him. She never should have doubted. Gloria left work an hour early so she would have plenty of time to get ready for her date. She had to carefully choose an outfit that said, I'm comfortable around you, without saying, I want to be more than friends. She settled on a pair of jeans and cowgirl boots that she'd bought because they were too cute not to have, but never thought she'd actually wear. She tucked a tank top into the jeans that showed just the tiniest bit of cleavage, over which she put a soft pink and light green flannel shirt. She looked in the mirror. Feminine, comfy, casual. Just the look she wanted. She'd only towel-dried her hair after her shower, allowing the curls to bounce naturally on her shoulders once it had finished drying, a much more casual look than the sleek bob she usually wore. Gloria was waiting out in front of the cottage when the colonel's staff car pulled up. As she approached the car, the colonel emerged from the driver's side and walked around the front of the vehicle to meet her. Wow, you look great. I love this, he said, pulling lightly on a curl before releasing it. Thanks, you don't look bad yourself, she replied. Liar, she scolded herself silently. He looks ravishing. Nothing was sexier on a man than jeans and boots, Gloria thought. Snap out of it, girl. He is not for you, she reminded herself. The hitching post was a cute country bar with not many patrons this early in the evening, which suited Gloria just fine. Walking to the bar, Eric ordered a beer for himself and a wine cooler for Gloria. They sat at the bar and shared some delicious hot wings, hot enough to tingle but not burn. Eric tried to talk her into riding the mechanical bull with him, but the thought of his thighs touching hers his arms around her waist or vice versa, was more than she would be able to handle. She suggested they shoot pool instead. He was good. He won twice, and she was convinced allowed her to win once. She had a good time in spite of herself. At 8:30, she told Eric that she really needed to get home and get her rest for work the next day. He escorted her to the car without complaint. Eric came around and opened her car door before Gloria could escape this time and walked her to her door. As he was going in for a goodnight kiss, she turned her head quickly and the kiss landed on her cheek. She told him that she had a wonderful time and she would see him tomorrow. She had the cottage door open and had disappeared behind it before Eric knew what had happened. Eric smiled as he walked back to his car. Hard to get, but not impossible. Casanova lives. Across the nation. What a bust! Trenton slammed the laptop shut in disgust. He'd been so excited when he found the Noster site. He was even more excited as he realized that nearly every single post represented a criminal of one sort or other that he could cash in on. But he still had no way to tell who these people were or how to connect with them in real life. He'd scrolled through thousands of comments and noticed every now and then that there was a username followed by a dot, then MT2221. He had no idea what that meant, but it had to mean something, right? So he tried it. He had put in Tren 2000 LB dot MT 2221 and held his breath. He didn't know what he expected to happen, but it wasn't this. A stupid coffee commercial had come up. He immediately X'd out of it. Still, it had to mean something. Trenton tried again. Again, the coffee commercial came up, and he let it play out to see what came up after it. After the commercial completed, he was returned to the Noster homepage. This blows, Trenton thought. Back to fishing in a pond. Over the last few weeks, Janet and Sabina had spent a lot of time on the computer. The instructions in the coffee had led them to a secret web page that they used the key to decode. Here they had discovered coded links to 3 other secret pages. The main page, accessed by hovering the pointer over the coin during the commercial, seemed to be a general greeting page, a get to know you and share your experiences page, but in more detail than on the general Noster site. The other 3 pages were subject specific. One was all about Bitcoin. There were links to the sites teaching about Bitcoin, sites that sold Bitcoin, and the page itself was made up primarily of Bitcoin vendors, people who traded products and services with Bitcoin as currency, like a Bitcoin swap meet. Janet had read enough to convince her it was smart to deal in Bitcoin, but had no way to purchase any. Then she found an ad on the page from a man looking for tools that Janet's husband owned and wasn't here to use. She contacted the man on the encrypted page, and he helped her set up a virtual wallet and gave her an address where to ship the tools. When they were received, she noticed a balance of $500 worth of Bitcoin in her wallet. Another page was the secret church page. There were encrypted sermons here and topical teaching. There was a scripture of the day here and hundreds of testimonies by people whose lives had been changed by God. It was here that Janet and Sabina shared their stories, and on this site where they spent most of their time. It was where the healing in their relationship took place, and restoration had begun. The third page was for patriots. There was an encrypted copy of the Constitution and conversation about the laws and liberties that had been changed or removed, and discussion of how far this nation had come from what it was originally intended to be. Here they discovered a contributor known as Uncle Sam, who was building a database so patriots could connect with each other outside the protocol. There was talk of resistance, talk of mounting a revolution. Janet realized how dangerous it was to take part in the activities on these secret sites. She and her daughter could disappear like her husband had. But something had to be done to stop those who were destroying their country, those who broke up families and hauled off husbands and fathers willy-nilly. It was a risk she was willing to take. Ding dong! Catherine answered the door and signed for the package. A case of coffee arrived this time. Catherine took the box into the den where Sam was already working. They opened the box and removed the 12 foil-wrapped packages. Catherine used a personal steamer to remove the foil without damaging it and retrieved the Bibles. Inside the cover of each were pages of names and addresses. Sam noticed that the coffee shop could only put a limited number of pages in each Bible without changing the shape and weight, causing it to no longer resemble a pound of coffee. That resulted in an abundance of Bibles they didn't know what to do with and that were dangerous to keep around. It was Catherine who discovered the solution to their dilemma. She was fond of spending time on the secret church page. She read the scripture of the day each morning and enjoyed some of the Bible studies. She ran across a woman who wanted to buy Bibles and have them sent to various family members. She encrypted their names and addresses and would transfer Bitcoin in payment. Catherine responded that she had Bibles to send. Once they removed the names and addresses the coffee shop sent, the Bibles were rewrapped in the foil coffee wrappers and were shipped out. Yakety Zack sent a box a week to Sam. Sometimes it contained a couple of packages of Roman roast, sometimes a case. Sam was thankful for whatever came. His database was coming along nicely. He was convinced that when it was completed, it would be used to do something important, to make a difference. Indiana. It had been 4 days since Dylan had been given his special assignment. Now he waited anxiously for Miss Vincent to arrive. She walked through the door at 9:02 a.m., and this time it was Dylan who locked the door behind her. She raised an eyebrow in question as she put her briefcase in the bottom desk drawer. He walked over and handed her a set of earbuds, then moved to one of the chairs facing her desk. Gloria sat in her office chair and popped the earbuds in. She recognized the male voice on them as Dylan's, but he sounded enough like the Colonel to get by. Maybe just a younger version of him. She closed her eyes and listened. You have been given a position of honor. You are the eyes, ears, hands, and feet of the Supreme General of the Militia, President Naylor, and New America itself. Do not take this position lightly. Regardless the position to which you will be assigned, the objective remains the same: to protect and serve America and its leadership by removing its threats and all who oppose its laws or show disloyalty or disrespect to the same. The detainees are not the enemy. They are not domestic terrorists who undermine our nation and way of life. They are people deserving of human dignity and humane treatment. They are not haters. The only thing they hate is the destruction of our nation by removing our Constitution and changing our laws, outlawing everything that is good and decent, and legislating everything that is destructive and evil. They will do everything in their power to restore this nation. We must covertly help them. Your job is to assist their efforts without appearing to do so. Containees are to be given the opportunity and tools necessary to mount a resistance. Any show of defiance and acts of religion are to be ignored. Those in power over you are the true enemy. They will destroy your life along with this nation. Don't give them the chance. Be vigilant. Rid our nation of the vermin. Make your family proud. Make your nation proud. God bless you, and God bless these United States of America. Gloria removed the earbuds and looked across the desk at Dylan. She had tears in her eyes. Well, asked Dylan, will it do? It's perfect, she replied. Is your buddy able to do this in bulk? We have a very short window of opportunity, 5 days, to get thousands of pairs programmed and replaced. He may need to work around the clock. I am willing to pay handsomely. He will do it, Dylan replied, but you should let me pay him. Aren't your expenditures on your Freedom Card tracked? Yeah, it's dangerous, but it's a risk I was willing to take. Dylan shook his head. You can't afford to get caught. I can pay him in Bitcoin. Again, Gloria's eyebrows rose in surprise. Dylan, are you a closet Christian? No, ma'am, he replied. I'm a patriot. Today was the day. Tomorrow he left for Oklahoma City. If the colonel was going to find evidence against Gloria, it would have to be today. The housekeeper worked until 3, so if he could get to the cottage about 3:10, he could do a thorough search before Gloria got off at 6. It was his only chance. Everything within him hoped there was nothing to find, and that she was who she appeared to be. He would know soon enough. Gloria walked into the cottage for lunch and could feel the difference in the air immediately. It looked the same. It still smelled of lemon furniture polish and freshly cut flowers from her garden, but there was a tension in the air, an expectancy. Imelda met her in the living room and the two sat on the couch. Today is the day, Gloria told her friend. Are you ready to go? Si, senora, Imelda replied, lapsing into Spanish as she did when she was nervous. All loose ends tied up, goodbyes said? Gloria asked, searching her friend's eyes for any sign of doubt or hesitation. I am ready. This is the moment I have been waiting for all these years. This is the time I show my faith by my works. It all comes down to this. Gloria removed the bugs from the flower vases. They were full of prayers and songs of praise to Almighty God. There was no disguising the adoration and fervor in Imelda's voice on the tapes. This could not be faked. It was evidence that she was a believer, a fervent. Gloria put the bugs in her jacket pocket and, grabbing the little silver box off the headboard shelf, placed it in her pocket as well. Imelda replaced the flowers in both vases with freshly cut ones from the garden and wiped down any mess on the counter and island caused by removing the bugs. The two women hugged a final goodbye. They both were struck by the realization that this was the scene they'd each seen in their dreams. Imelda had prepared for this day before coming in. She wore 3 pairs of underpants beneath the scrubs that served as her uniform. She was wearing 2 pairs of socks and had sticks of gum hidden in her bra. She ate a big breakfast and a good lunch. She had done all she could to prepare. She had cleaned the cottage extra well and was leaving it in good condition. Now she simply waited while Gloria made the call. "Gloria, what a surprise," the general stated as his face appeared on the video chat. "Is everything all right?" "Actually, General, it is not." The general's face was now one of concern. "What is going on?" he asked. "It's your housekeeper," Gloria replied, a disgusted look on her face. "Imelda? Is she sick?" "Oh, she's sick all right. Listen to this." Gloria popped one of the paper clips into the player and pressed play. She watched the general's facial expression change from concern to surprise and then to barely controlled rage. "I came home with a headache one day and heard her singing, so I got some bugs from Colonel Greenbaugh so I'd have proof." "Imelda?" the general asked, a hurt tone in his voice. "I don't understand. You've been with me so long." Gloria handed the phone to Imelda. "It was hard to hide from you, General, but you offered such a great wage I couldn't turn down the job, and I wouldn't abandon my God." She handed the phone back to Gloria. "You said you didn't want to be bothered with staffing issues, but I figured you'd want to know about this," Gloria told the general. The general nodded, momentarily speechless. "I have a plan to send her to Fort Bouse, since she is obviously a fervent," Gloria continued. "But I have one request of you, General." "Ask." "I'd like her to remain there unpunished until my rotation at Fort Bouse." Her voice hardened. "She did this in my house, on my watch, under my nose. I want to witness her execution." "And so you shall," the general stated. "I will personally see to it. I will call Colonel Greenbaugh to come now and arrest her and put her on a train to Arizona immediately. Wait there with her until he comes." "Yes, General." With that, he disconnected the call so he could place another to the colonel. "It's done," Gloria said to Imelda. "Are you all right?" "I'm ecstatic," she replied. "It is the beginning of the end." They sat and prayed together for the last time. 15 minutes had passed since the general disconnected the call, and Gloria heard an urgent voice in her spirit. "Empty the safe now." "Imelda, hurry, come with me," Gloria said. The colonel could be there any minute. She took the painting off the bedroom wall and opened the safe. She grabbed the Bible pages out by the handsful and, handing them to Imelda, said, "Stuff these in your pants." That had always been part of the plan, but as caught up as they were with the bugs, they'd nearly forgotten about the pages in the safe. In her haste, one of the Bible pages floated down to the floor, mostly hidden by the dresser. Neither woman noticed. Gloria was just putting the painting back on the wall when they heard the crunch of the colonel's tires on the drive. Both women went back to sit on the couch. Gloria's hand clamped on Imelda's wrist. Colonel Greenbaugh burst into the room without knocking. "The general told me all about it," he said. Turning to Gloria, he asked, "Are you all right?" She nodded. "Angry as hell, disappointed, but okay." "Wait here," he told Gloria, taking Imelda roughly by the arms and ushering her out the door. Gloria watched as he unlocked his trunk and stuffed the petite Hispanic woman in. Thank God the staff cars have roomy trunks, Gloria thought, and said a silent prayer for her friend. "Well, this isn't how I expected this afternoon to go," the colonel thought, walking back to the cottage. But now I have a good excuse to search the cottage while we are both here." As he walked through the door, Gloria ran into his arms. "Thank you, Eric, for being here. It's all so upsetting." He held her a moment longer than necessary, enjoying the feeling of her in his arms. Releasing her, he said, "I'll need that evidence." "Of course." She handed him the bugs and player. "And I'll need to search the premises. Procedure, you understand." "Of course," she replied again. He went methodically room to room. Gloria felt a little chill in the air and turned on the fireplace. She sat in the overstuffed recliner near the fire, waiting for him to finish his search. Starting in the kitchen, the Colonel opened every drawer, cabinet, the refrigerator, the freezer. He stuck his hand down the garbage disposal. He checked the trash, which had just been emptied. She cleaned a good house, he thought absently. He took the flowers out of the vase and checked inside. He searched the cushions of the bench in the bay window and the chairs in the breakfast nook. He removed the couch cushions and looked under rugs. As he walked into the bedroom, Gloria held her breath but remained where she was. She heard him take down the painting and open the safe. She heard it close and the painting being put back in place. He stripped the bed and looked beneath the mattress and box spring. He looked in pillowcases and went through the books on the headboard bookshelf. In the bathroom, he opened the medicine cabinet and removed the back of the toilet tank. Satisfied he'd missed nothing, the Colonel was returning to the living room when something caught his eye. He knelt down, and from beneath the dresser he pulled a Bible page. The Colonel stormed into the living room, holding the offending sheet between his index finger and thumb. "What is the meaning of this?" he said, thrusting the page at Gloria. Gloria's face reflected the horror she felt at seeing the page. Grabbing it from the Colonel's hand, she tossed it into the fire. "I can't believe she'd bring that filth into my house," Gloria spewed. "Now it's where it belongs." She wiped her hands on her skirt as if the offending page had soiled her hands. Satisfied, the Colonel gave Gloria a hug and said, "I'll be gone for 5 to 7 days. I leave tomorrow. Maybe we can go out for dinner when I return?" "That would be nice," she said. "Safe travels." Colonel Greenbaugh left to dispose of the problem in the trunk. Gloria, exhausted from all the drama, went to bed early. When Eric returned home, he called the general. "She will be on the first train to Arizona tomorrow," he reported. "And Gloria?" the general asked. "She's proven her loyalty," he replied. "We had a traitor in our midst, but it wasn't her." Both men were relieved and were confident that they were leaving Fort Benjamin Harrison in good hands while the Colonel was in Oklahoma City. So this concludes Part 9 of Without Faith. I hope you're enjoying this story. It's really getting good, isn't it? Don't forget to tell your friends so that they can join the adventure right along with you. And remember to like and subscribe. And in this way, you are helping to spread the word. Join me next time when we read Part 10 of Without Faith. God bless you.